seems like the world is on edge right now. Global conflicts are dominating the news headlines, and the ripple effects could reach you and your wealth. Welcome back to the Markets with Mike. Today we're tackling how global instability could impact your retirement future. Michael, one of the biggest challenges global conflicts bring is market volatility. So how does that affect someone who is nearing retirement or already retired?
It's a great question, Leah, and what a lot of people don't realize is one of the most important years, or the most important year in your retirement plan, is the year you retire. And what the market does in that 1 year can have a drastic impact on how long your money can last. So yes, it can have a huge impact, and it's something that everybody should be aware of and plan for.
What steps can retirees take to preserve their wealth?
Well, as we talk about here, your fiscal house, make sure that you have built a solid fiscal house that is designed for your specific circumstances and your specific situation. That includes the roof, the walls, and the foundation. That's the three main parts of a well-built physical house that we talk about. And in market volatility, this is where the foundation becomes important, because that's your principally protected assets. Those are assets that are not going to lose money in market downturns,
right,
like we have seen lately and like we may see coming up in the future. So you need to make sure you have the right proportion of foundation to walls to roof to make sure that you can get through these volatile times.
So another big concern when it comes to the global conflict is inflation. So how can our listeners who are nearing retirement prepare for the rising costs?
Well, this is where your fiscal house comes back into play again, because again, we talked about the three parts. Inflation is where the walls kick in. That's your inflation protected. These are assets that produce income regardless of whether the market is down, whether it's through a dividend that a stock would pay, an interest rate that a bond would pay. Things that are not going to be affected by the markets that can kick in and pay income into your investment portfolio that can then help to offset the impact of inflation. Also considering other potential inflation hedging assets, commodities, certain things like that, making sure that you have a well-diversified portfolio and a well-built fiscal house that include those types of assets that can help you keep up with inflation in times like we see right now.
There's a lot to talk about right now with everything going on, so I'll let you sort of take that for us.
Yes, so it's been an interesting week and an even more interesting weekend, and some of the things that we had planned to talk about today have changed since we started working on this. So obviously the biggest thing out there globally right now is the conflict between Iran and Israel. They have been strikes on both sides, and then of course this weekend, as I'm sure a lot of our viewers are aware out there, the United States dove into that conflict by bombing some of Iran's nuclear facilities. And then just before we came in here, I saw that Iran has retaliated and launched a strike against one of our air bases in Qatar. So a lot is going on that can cause a lot of global market instability. Now, the fortunate thing right now is the markets are up today, and haven't had a time to dissect that yet, but this most recent round of strikes has not caused the markets to crash as some thought it might. So, but there's still a long way to go. We'll have to see what happens there. But so far, over 220 people have been killed in Iran, 24 in Israel. That number has probably gone up today.
Right.
As we're recording this, significant damage reported on both sides, including oil infrastructure, obviously the nuclear facilities, now residential areas. Israel strikes have targeted senior Iran military officials. We know at least one of them has been killed.
Yes.
Nuclear scientists. The conflict has also drawn a lot of international concern. There was an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council yesterday. A lot of European nations, UN nations are encouraging de-escalation, come back to the negotiating table, including some of the European countries there. But obviously they walked away from the negotiating table this weekend, which is what precipitated the strike. So we'll keep an eye on that, keep an eye on how it affects the markets. But again, going back to what we talked about before, a good solid fiscal house can help you ride through some of these. Not the first time we've seen global conflict that caused the markets to go crazy a little bit.
And unfortunately, it probably won't be the last.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
having a plan is important.
Definitely.
My dad joke of the week.
All right.
Why don't eggs tell jokes?
Why don't eggs tell jokes? Because nobody likes their yolk. I don't know.
You're
just
pretty
said
witty.
rhymes.
You're pretty witty with that. They might crack up.
They might crack up.
It's like
I'm horrible at cracking eggs. Maybe I need to tell it a joke.
maybe so.
So it will crack up.
Yeah,
I always
there
get
you
shell
go.
in my eggs when I do it. So.
Oh, Michael.
Well, how about a little This Week in History
Yes.
today? So this week in history, the year is 1956, President Dwight Eisenhower called for $50 billion to be spent over 13 years for the construction of over 42,500 miles of interstate highway using the Interstate Highway Revenue Act, which was to be funded using a gasoline tax, which is currently 18.4 cents for each gallon of gas that we buy. So, and of course, our interstate system is named after him, the Eisenhower Interstate System. And it wasn't just, did you know this? It wasn't just built for us to be able to get from one side of the country to the other. It also served a military purpose in case we had to have evacuations or we had to get military in an invasion situation. We could get the military to particular areas of the country a lot faster.
I did not know that.
That was a secondary, but that was also part of the reason it was built.
Wow,
So-
you learn something new every day. The year is 1984. Were you alive yet?
I was 6 years old in 1984.
Michael, do you remember this? Hey, the Motion Picture Association of America introduced a new film rating PG-13. So the initial categories were G, appropriate for all ages, M, mature audiences, R, persons under 16 not admitted without an adult, and X, no one under 17 admitted. Red Dawn, starring Patrick Swayze, ooh, love him, and Charlie Sheen, was the first PG-13 movie to be released in theaters. Did you see it?
I have seen Red Dawn. I don't think I saw it when I was 6.
Probably not.
When it was released in theaters. I have seen that. That's a good movie. I don't know that I remember that being released though. I think I've always just known G, PG, PG-13.
Yeah.
I don't remember a time before
Well,
what we currently have. And I thought R was under 18.
I thought it was too, but maybe
they changed it
that.
since 1984.
Yes, I was about to
so.
say, because X, is that even? Oh, I guess the X
Well, they
is
still
still
have
a
the
thing
X,
because
and they have NC-17.
what is that?
That's kind of in between R and X.
I've never heard of that one. Okay, well, again, you learn something new every day.
And our last one this week in history, 1997, Mike Tyson was disqualified after biting off a part of Evander Holyfield's ear. And I do remember that. I do remember that happening. I think I actually was watching that match when that happened.
I was
Little
little.
weird.
I was young, but I do remember. I was probably 4, I guess. But I do remember because I remember my parents being like, he bit his ear off.
Didn't just bite it.
Bit it off. Bit it off the side of his head. Yeah, crazy.
Strange things do happen. Truth is stranger than fiction. Well, back to how we open the show. If you are feeling concerned about what's going on in the world right now, these global military conflicts, it's creating uncertainty in the financial markets and sparking fears about your long-term retirement income and stability, and you want to do something or you're afraid that it could leave you vulnerable financially, the best way to protect your future is to sit down with somebody and have them go through and look at your plan to make sure that you have the proper fiscal house built and that your plan has you set and takes into account times like this through being stress tested. So we are here to help, and we can do that several ways. We can help you look at preserving your wealth against market volatility and unexpected costs. We can help you to build a retirement strategy that's flexible and resilient, even in uncertain and volatile times. And we can help you plan for other risks like inflation and healthcare expenses and long-term care. So don't let this put you into a situation of financial stress. It may, by the time the conflicts escalate and volatility peaks and things smooth out, it may be too late to adjust for it. So we are offering a free retirement risk analysis. to kind of help you stress test this and put a roadmap together to help you preserve your wealth. And if that's something you're interested in doing, you can give us a call or reach out to us here at Trilogy, and we will be glad to sit down with you to give you that free consultation.
Yes, as Michael said, you've worked hard to build your financial stability, so now's the time to help protect it from the uncertainties of the global conflicts that we're seeing. So call us today at 256-467-4382. We'll see you next time for part 2.